Angelique acquiesced without protest and put Lady Macon's hair up simply, complimenting the severity of the dress. Only a few loops and tendrils peeked out from under a small lace cap. Then Aleixa made good her escape, aflutter with curiosity over her husband's early departure. There was no one to ask. No one waited at the dining table. Clavigers and Pack alike had vanished along with the Earl. The house was empty but for the servants. Aleixa turned her concentrated interest on them, but they scattered about their various tasks with the ease of 3 months' practice. The woolsey butler Rumpet refused, with an air of affronted dignity, to answer her questions. Even Flute claimed to have been in the library all afternoon and overheard nothing. Flute, truly, you simply must be acquainted with what has transpired. I depend upon you to know what is going on. You always do. Flute gave her a look that made her feel about 7 years of age. Despite graduating from butler to personal secretary, Flute had never quite lost his severe aura of butlerness. He handed Aleixa her leather dispatch case. I reviewed the documents from last Sunday's meeting. Well, what is your opinion? Flute had been with Alexia's father before her, and despite Alessandro Tarabotti's rather outrageous reputation, or perhaps because of it, Flute had learned things. Aleixa was finding herself, as Muja, more and more reliant upon his opinion, if only to confirm her own. Flute considered. My concern is with the deregulation clause, madam. I suspect that it is too soon to release the scientists on their own recognizance. That was my assessment as well. I shall recommend against that particular clause. Thank you, Flute. The elderly man turned to go. Oh, and Flute? He turned back, resigned. Something substantial has happened to overset my husband. I suspect research in the library may be called for when I return tonight. Best to clear your schedule. Very good, madam, said Flute with a little bow. He glided off to summon her a carriage. Aleixa finished her repast, gathered up her dispatch case, her latest parasol, and her long woolen coat, and wandered out the front door, only to discover exactly where everyone had gone. Outside, under the sweeping front lawn that led up to the cobbled courtyard of the castle. They had managed to multiply themselves, don attire of a military persuasion, and, for some reason known only to their tiny little werewolf brains, proceeded to engage in setting up a considerable number of large canvas tents. This involved the latest in government-issue self-expanding steam pools, boiled in large copper pots like so much metal pasta. Each one started out the size of a spyglass before the heat caused it to suddenly expand with a popping noise. As was the general military protocol, it took far more soldiers than it ought to stand around watching the poles boil, and when one expanded, a cheer erupted forth. The pole was grasped between a set of leather potholders and taken off to a tent. Lady Maccon lost her temper. "What are you all doing out here?"